Hey, it's James here from GoodGuitarist.com, and today I want to show you a really cool concept on guitar, which at first can be used as a cool party trick. You know, in just 5 or 10 minutes, you'll be able to do everything in this lesson. I promise you that. But this also happens to be the foundation for jazz guitar. I actually did a clinic at a local high school for the junior guitar players quite a while back. And this is basically the same lesson, but just, spruced up a little bit for YouTube. And I did make a worksheet for this. You'll find that on my Patreon page, so you can print that out and have something to go by. And while you're down there, if you could take a moment to like the video, subscribe to the channel. If you enjoy learning guitar with me, I would really appreciate that. Now, the overall concept is quite simple. When we're playing this style of music, we don't need to use full chords that use every string of the guitar like we normally would. We only need to press 3 notes at a time. So for this first chord, I'm putting my index on the 4th fret of the thickest string. That's the note A flat. And I think this is a really good way to learn the fretboard. It's just like learn that one note, and after a while you learn one note here, one note there. Eventually you know the whole thing. 4th fret of the thickest string, A flat. And then I'm going to put my middle finger on the D string at the 5th fret and my ring finger just underneath it on the G string. So the thickest string, we skip the A string, and then 5th fret, 5th fret. This is an A flat major 7. I'm going to pluck the thickest string with my thumb, and then the D string with my index, and then my middle finger on the G string. And we just get used to kind of plucking that. We'll add a more complex pattern later, but for now we're just going to work on the chord shapes and just kind of pick those strings. And that's our first shape, which is a major 7 shape. And the minor 7 shape is really similar, except our fingers are all going to be on the same fret. So, for instance, we'll just stay here for now. My index is on the 4th fret. My middle finger is just going to move down to the 4th fret, and my ring finger is going to be on the 4th fret. So they're all on the 4th fret. You might have to kind of budge them over a little bit so they all fit. Still picking the same strings, still pressing the same strings for this entire lesson. The thickest string, the D string, and the G string. That's the minor 7 shape. And our final shape is the 7th shape, or dominant 7th. And for that one, we're just going to poke our ring finger up 1 fret. So our ring finger sticks out 1 fret. And you can just kind of remember these, they're called shell voicings, just by base them off of the root. So for the major 7 shape, both your fingers are going to be 1 fret higher. For the minor 7 shape, they line up with your root. And for the dominant 7th shape, just your ring finger pokes out. And those are the only 3 shapes in this entire piece of music. And they're all movable shapes. So we can play them anywhere because they don't have any open strings. And you can literally play like 10,000 jazz standards with just this. I'm not even kidding. But before we get too far ahead of ourselves, let's take a look at our progression here. We're going to start off with our index on the 4th fret, playing a major 7 shape. So both your fingers are on the next fret. Then we're going to put our index on the 6th fret. And we're going to make the minor shape. So everything's lining up. And then I'm just going to drag my index and middle down 1 fret. So this gives us the 7th shape with our root on the 5th string. So our root goes 4, 6, 5. And that's how our progression goes for the most part. We have our major 7th shape. And then our B flat minor 7 at the 6th fret. And then A7. We're leaving our ring finger down. We're just dragging our other 2. A7. And just go through that. 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Just get used to that. And I find this style of music with the shell voicings is really simple as far as chord switching is concerned, because you're just dragging your fingers. It's even easier in my opinion than like switching between C and G in a lot of cases, right? Because you just start on the A flat major 7 and you just drag everything up till it all lines up on the 6th fret. Then you just drag your index and middle back. And then you just leave your middle down and you drag the other 2 back to get to your starting position. And, once you're comfortable with it, we can add some finger picking. So I'm starting off picking them all together. My thumb and my fingers all together. And I'm going to have my ring finger on my picking hand riding the B string, just so it can kind of, I don't have to think about where my hand is. If I was floating it, there's a potential for missing the strings. But this way, I'm anchored down. I do them all together on beat 1. 1 and 2. And then I go and 3 and 4. And. So thumb, thumb, and then both my fingers together. Let's ignore the first hit and let's just go 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Just like that, counting out loud. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Count it out yourself. Go as slow as you need to. Go incredibly slow, like 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Just so you can really lock into that timing. Then you add that first hit. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. You do that a whole bunch of times on the first chord shape. Once you're used to that, you can start adding the other chord shapes. 2 times on the first chord, then once on the second chord, and once on that one. And that's the first milestone to capture the groove of the song. And at this point, you have something that you could totally work with. We can just stop right there. Lesson's over. We're good to go. But if you want to make it a little more interesting, I have some other stuff that we can add to it, which we're going to go through right now, all using the same shapes. We're just going to kind of drag them up the fretboard a little bit further. We start off our progression as usual. And here, instead of going down to A7, we're going to take our whole shape 2 frets higher. So we're at C and we're playing a minor 7 shape. C is the 8th fret, minor 7 because everything's lining up. And then we're going to go up 1 more fret. So our index is on the 9th fret. We'll poke out our middle and ring to make that major 7. So we have D flat major 7, which sounds crazy. If you saw a song that said D flat major 7, you'd be like, what am I supposed to do? Well, this is one way to do it. We do our picking pattern on that one time. And then I'm going to bring my index finger up so it's all on the 10th fret. And I'm just going to pick it once and let it ring out and kind of pause, to create some tension. So I'll just show you that whole bit there. And then from here, we're going to backtrack. We're going to go to C minor 7, so 8th fret, and we just pluck it once, and then we drag our index and middle down, just like we did before, to make that 7th shape. And then we'll go to B flat minor 7, our regular progression, and then drag our index and middle down, and then land on our first chord shape. So that bit there, we're just doing the same thing twice in a row, but in a different spot. So we do this here, going from 8 to 7, and then 6 to 5. It's the same motion as far as the chord's concerned, just 2 frets lower. It creates like this really cool thing because all of a sudden the chords are just like switch, switch. They're switching way faster. We're not hanging on to them for as long. And it really like drives the tune right back to the start. So now I'm going to play the entire B section. And by the way, in jazz, we tend not to call things like verse, chorus, those words have a different meaning in jazz. So we'll call sections by a letter. The A section, that was like our first progression, and the B section and so on. So the B section, where things change up, the whole thing goes like this. Now, I recommend working through everything we learned so far till it's 100% solid. But if you're already there and you want to add a little bit more of a challenge to it, you can add a smack on beats 2 and 4. First, I would try it on a single chord. So I pluck together, and then on that gap on beat 2, I'm just doing a little smack where the side of my thumb hits the strings. 1, smack, thumb, thumb, fingers, smack. Once again, you got to be really solid with the main finger picking pattern first, and then it's not too difficult to add those smacks on beat 2 and 4. Remember, I have a worksheet on my Patreon page to help you practice this whole thing. And if you're interested in fingerstyle, I have a course all about that. I'll put a link to that in the corner and some more info down below if you're interested. If you're already taking the course, I'll remind you that you have access to the Good Guitarist community, and I would love to see you post your progress. You know, make a video of what you learned here today and post it there. I love seeing you guys play. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you enjoy learning guitar with me. Have a fun time practicing, and I'll see you soon.